What if the language you speak actually changes the way you think? What if words don't just describe your reality, but actually shape it? This isn't just a philosophical question. It's a fascinating idea in linguistics called the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might see words in a whole new light. So, what exactly is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis? Put simply, it's the theory that the language you speak influences how you perceive and understand the world. Proposed by linguists Edward Sapir and his student Benjamin Lee Whorf, it connects language, thought, and reality. Think of it like a pair of glasses. Your language is the lens through which you see everything. It doesn't just give you labels for things, it guides your very thinking process. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. There are two main versions of this hypothesis, a strong one and a weak one. The strong version, often called linguistic determinism, is pretty extreme. It claims that language completely controls your thoughts. In other words, you can only think about concepts that your language has words for. If your language doesn't have a word for something, you literally can't conceive of it. This version is largely rejected by modern linguists because it's too rigid. We can clearly learn new concepts and even invent words for them. The weak version, known as linguistic relativity, is much more widely accepted today. It suggests that language influences your thoughts, but it doesn't trap them. Your language makes it easier to think about certain things and can nudge your focus in a particular direction. But it doesn't build an inescapable prison for your mind. So, while language guides our thoughts, it doesn't dictate them entirely. Let's look at some real-life examples to make this clearer. First, let's talk about color. In English, we have a whole spectrum of color words. But some languages, like the Himba in Namibia, have very few. Seed. Interestingly, research shows that speakers of languages with more words for a specific color range, like different shades of blue, are better at distinguishing between those shades. Their language has trained their brains to notice those subtle differences. Next, let's consider direction. In English, we use egocentric terms like left, right, in front, and behind. It's all relative to our own body, but some languages, like Gugu Yamathea spoken by an Aboriginal group in Australia, exclusively use cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. Instead of saying the cup is to your left, they'd say the cup is to your west. As a result, speakers of these languages have an incredible, almost superhuman sense of direction. They are constantly oriented in space, something most of us need a compass or a phone for. And what about time? In English and many Western languages, we often think of time as a straight line moving forward. We talk about the past being behind us and the future being ahead. Other cultures perceive time differently. The Aymara people in the Andes, for example, see the past as being in front of them because it's what they have seen and know, while the future is behind them because it's unseen and unknown. This fundamental difference in how time is structured in their language affects everything from how they plan their lives to how they recount stories. So, does this mean our language limits our thinking? Not exactly. It's more accurate to say that language guides our attention. It doesn't build walls around our minds, but it does pave certain pathways, making some thoughts easier to travel than others. We can still think outside the box and understand concepts that are easily expressed in our native tongue. But our language provides a default framework for organizing the world. Why does any of this matter today, in our hyper-connected world? It matters immensely. The words used in news headlines and on social media don't just inform us, they shape our opinions and beliefs. Political language is carefully chosen to evoke specific emotions and rally support. Even the artificial intelligence we're developing learns from human language, inheriting its biases and patterns. Words are not neutral. They are powerful tools that construct our social reality. So, in the end, language is much more than a tool for communication. It's a foundational element of our cognition. It doesn't just express thought, it helps create it. The structure of our sentences, the vocabulary we use, it all contributes to the way we reason, feel, and act. By understanding this, we can become more aware of how our own language shapes us and how the words of others influence us. Remember, if you can change the words, you just might change the way you think. Thanks for watching. If you found this topic as fascinating as I do, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into how our world works. See you next time.